Dashiell. Take it away whenever you're ready.
I'm Dashiell Meier. I'm here to talk about the history of Down syndrome and my thoughts about the story Flowers for Algernon. I have a disability called Down syndrome. I have an extra chromosome that affects my memory and muscles. It also makes it hard to talk clearly. I want to define out about people with disabilities. So my mom helps me find out the history of people with Down syndrome. I just want you to know that you will hear some really sad and depressing things. But it's really important because people with Down syndrome have been treated poorly in the past. In the early 1900s in the United States, there was something called eugenics. Eugenics is when people use Darwin's idea to improve people's genetics by selecting which characteristics get passed down to the next generation. People with Down syndrome were not allowed to get married. They were forced to have surgery. They couldn't have any children. Later, Hitler used eugenics in something called Algernon T4. Before the Holocaust in 1939, the doctors gathered up people with disabilities. The Nazis especially targeted children with Down syndrome and took them from their homes. Nazi doctors performed terrible experiments and surgeries on people with Down syndrome and other disabilities. Hitler created the gas chambers to kill all of them, and later used them on the Jews and Roma people. By the end of World War II, between 200 and 300,000 people with disabilities were killed. Half of them were children. In the United States, things were still pretty bad if you have Down syndrome. Most people with Down syndrome born before the 1980s lived in asylums. An asylum is a hospital where people with disabilities and mental illnesses live. They lived in horrible conditions. A lot of people didn't even have clothes or enough food to eat. This is a picture of a Pampers, an asylum in Pennsylvania. Children with Down syndrome and other disabilities were infected with diseases by doctors, learning how to make the flu vaccine. It closed in 1987. Instead of becoming a memorial, it became a haunted house. Today, actors pretended to be ghosts of disabled people who live there. Up until 1984, doctors in the United States refused to save the lives of people with Down syndrome who needed medical treatments, such as heart surgery. Up to the late 1980s, some doctors believed feeding a baby with Down syndrome was a life-saving measure and would starve the babies to death. Eventually, all 50 states made this against the law. I feel very lucky that I was born in 2004. But even today, most parents decide to end the pregnancy. if they find out their baby has Down syndrome. In some countries, there are no babies born who have Down syndrome because their parents don't want them. All this makes me feel sad because I like my life. Having Down syndrome is not bad. I try to be a good person, and my friends who have Down syndrome are nice too. Today, I'm trying to show people like me with Down syndrome are smart and we can learn a lot. I'm the first person with Down syndrome to go to regular classes in Palo Alto. I traveled to Washington, D.C., and I met with people in Congress to tell them that people with Down syndrome need some rights as typical people. So that's a picture of my sister and I in D.C. We have it in 3rd grade. Charlie and I have something in common. We both have an intellectual disability. Even though he doesn't have Down syndrome, he still struggles with spelling, and so do I. I feel sad for Charlie that typical people treat him poorly and use his name as an insult. I wonder if that happens to me, and I don't know. There is a lot of research about Down syndrome happening now. There are some new drugs that they have tested on mice, like Algernon. They have started testing them on people, and it seems like those people get smarter. In a couple of years, if those drugs work, I will have to decide whether I want to take those drugs to be smarter. Right now, I don't think that's good for people to take them. Yes, I know that people want to be smarter, but they don't realize that they really are smart already. I think Charlie was actually smarter than the doctors thought. I believe that he could do those tests, but he just needed more practice. If you have problems spelling and talking, doesn't mean that you're not smart. I feel like I'm smart, but the problem is, even though I love to learn and willing to work hard, people could assume that I'm not smart just because of my disability. They don't know what's in my mind. They might misjudge me by my bad spelling and that my drawings don't look as great. Some stuff about my disability I cannot change. It's just how my body is formed. You can't take it away. There's no cure for my disability. I still want to have Down syndrome because I feel different, and I don't want to be exactly like typical kids. It makes me unique. I love who I am, and I don't want to change in any way. I wish that everyone knew about how people with disabilities struggle, even though they can still do stuff. It's not that they're not smart. They do try their best. I hope you will keep this in mind and help people with intellectual disabilities in general, and disabilities in general. You can help them with their struggles and be friends so we can come together and we can be happier people. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great rest of your day.